Hi everyone, I'm John C. Morley, the host of the JMOR Tech Talk Show and Inspirations for Your Life. Well, hello there, everyone, and welcome once again to the JMOR Tech Talk Show. It's Friday. It is June 12th, 2026, and it is great to be with you here on the show once again. If you've been here before, whether that was one time, 2 times, 5 times, 100 times, I want to say welcome back. If you're new here, of course, welcome. Always great to have you here as well. And we have an exciting show for you guys, but in case you're not aware, we basically create reels on Friday, and we put together some trendy topics about tech, AI, etc. And we put 2 out every day. And then on Friday, we dive into them, well, pretty deeply. All right, guys, if you're thirsty, if you're hungry or what have you, feel free to go grab something and come on back to the show because we have a lot to share with you, a real lot to share with you. Don't forget to check out believemeachieve.com, of course, for more of my amazing, inspiring creations, which you can actually do, guys, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. You can actually do that. So, yes, it is so great to have you with me here. And you could check that out. That is after the show is over. So, yeah, it is so great to have everyone here. I'm glad that you're here. And I am so glad to meet everyone here. Again, if you are new, definitely like to say thank you. And I want to say welcome again once to the show. But you can always catch the replays of the show by visiting believemeachieve.com. Without any further ado, guys, let's kick this show off. All right. So this is the JMOR Tech Talk Show. I am John C. Morley. And our episode title today is AI is no longer assistive. It's taking over decisions, infrastructure, and reality. This is series 5 for season 5. It is show number, what is it now? Yes, it is show number 24. I can't believe we are in show number 24, right? I mean, that blows my mind that we're at show number 24. Can you guys believe that? That's amazing. All right, let's not get carried away with that. But anyway, it is season 5, show basically 24, and yes, welcome once again to the JMOR Tech Talk Show. Oh, who am I? Sure, I'm John C. Morley. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I'm an engineer, marketing specialist, video producer, podcast host, coach, keynote speaker, graduate student, passionate lifelong learner, and now so grateful to be a published author. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So today, I'm diving into a massive shift that is happening faster than most people are able to realize. It's about AI, artificial intelligence. It's no longer just assisting us anymore. It is making decisions. It's shaping infrastructures and operating in now what we call the real world. Yeah. Well, number one, Samsung just moved, I believe their headquarters and 1,000 jobs to Texas. This is proof that the real tech war is happening between states competing for talent, infrastructure, and billions in future growth. When giants like Samsung can relocate this fast, it shows how states are now quietly fighting for technology money, talent, and the next decade of innovation. This is not just a corporate move, guys. It's a signal that the future of tech is tied to geography, policy, and long-term investment. Yeah, so it's becoming geopolitical. In case you guys didn't know that, it is becoming geopolitical. The more that we want to admit that or not admit that, that is actually the truth. Yeah. So again, very interesting story. I'm sure other companies are going to do this too. It's because of tax benefits. I mean, that's the bottom line. Number two, guys, over 320,000 security cameras were recalled for fire risks, showing that smart devices do not just collect data, they can create real-world danger if something goes wrong. The problem is not hackers or software. It is the installation and the poor installation that they're doing, damaging lithium-ion batteries and turning safety devices into fire hazards. This is a reminder that smart tech does not always mean safe tech. And owners must stay informed. And so you might be asking, what security cameras, were recalled for fire? And that would be a very, very good question. So it was actually Wyze Solar Cam, that's WYZ Solar Cam, Pan outdoor security cameras. They're recalled due to fire explosion and burn hazards due to incorrect assembly instructions. And it can lead consumers to basically puncture the camera's lithium-ion battery, causing, the battery to overheat. Which one are we talking about? Sure. We are talking specifically about the Wyze, WYZE Solar Cam Pan security cameras, the one you see at many of the construction sites going up. It is the model number W as in whiskey, Y as in Yankee, Z as in Zulu, E as in Echo, S as in Sierra, C as in Charlie, P as in Papa, W as in whiskey, and H as in hotel. These are sold at Home Depot, Micro Center, Amazon, Temu, and even Wyze.com. And it was between October 2025 and April 2026. And they're only about, $80. Yes. And so this is why so many people are turning to these because, they make a perfect little addition to monitor, let's say, your site. Like maybe you have a construction site and you want to be able to watch what's going on. They have a 360 ability, so that's pretty cool that it can do that. And it is all AI powered. Yeah, so you can get a 1-pack, you can get a 2-pack, you can get a 3-pack. And so here's how it works so you guys can understand. So integrated high-efficiency solar panel, 360-degree pan, 70-degree tilt coverage, AI-powered person tracking, 2K HD resolution with the WDR, quick, easy mounting, and an IP65 weather resistant. So before I get into this, what is IP65? Because these numbers we throw up, we don't always know what they mean. IP65 stands for Ingress Protection Level 65. It is an international standard rating that certifies a device enclosure is basically fully dust tight and cannot be breached by dust and protected against low pressure water jets from any direction. There's other IPs. We won't get into that for this show, but I did want to let you know what those are and where they come from. So again, it's the Wyze Solar Cam, and you can mount the camera. You can put the solar panel somewhere else if you want. The solar panel can be flexibly mounted. So if there's cloudy days, no problem. So, the sun may like to hide out for a while where you live, and the built-in 6400 mAh lithium-ion battery will provide up to 6 months of standalone power. Pretty cool. So the 2K HD resolution with WDR, this is really incredible. The crystal clear video recording with a wide field of view captures every detail, day or night, wide dynamic range, which means, yes, it can grab license plates and even the darkest shadows, so nothing ever gets lost. Yes, they'll work in the rain. But apparently the whole issue is the recall, right? So how are they fixing the recall? So how are they, fixing this issue? And so they were voluntary recall, as I said, 320,000 solar cams due to the fire and burn hazards. And the occurred basically happened when users followed incorrect mounting instructions. And so, but yet, Wyze Solar Cam did take the responsibility to recall them. So again, kudos to them for doing that. They recalled these back on June 4, 2026. Again, 321,360 to date. In addition, about 2,560 of these bad boys were sold in Canada. Yeah. So you got to follow the instructions. I mean, that's just the bottom line, right? You can't decide to do it your way. You have to actually follow the way the instructions work. And I have to say, hats off to Wise for stepping in and becoming very responsible and accountable for this, even though it really wasn't their fault. And this is a reminder that today's smart devices do more than collect data. They also bring real-world challenges and risks when something goes wrong, whether it's somebody not following the instructions or something else that happens in between. So I just wanted to let you guys know about that. You can get these cameras pretty cheap. So the question everybody has is the service free for the Wise solar cam? And that's a great question. Thank you so much for asking me that. So a free Wise account includes unlimited live streaming, motion detection, and push notifications. And so do you have to pay? So that's a great question. You do not have to pay to use the Wise Solar Cam. You can use the camera, view live streams, and record events entirely for free. What you pay for, and it's optional if you want it. So what you get for free is you get the live streaming, okay, with the Wise app. You have local storage, up to 512 gigabytes in the camera to record and review footage without paying for a plan. You get basic motion alerts, receive push notifications. What you will get if you pay. The full-length video cloud backup. The camera saves full-length videos to the cloud instead of relying on the micro SD card. Perfect for places like construction sites. Smart AI detections. Instantly filters out alerts to only notify you for people, pets, vehicles, or packages. The plans start at $299 per month per camera. So we're thinking about buying one. Not a bad little deal. But again, I think they need to come up with a better way to handle, what they're doing and how these devices are operating. But again, kudos to them for definitely stepping in and becoming accountable. I'm really grateful for them for doing that. So let's jump into our point number 3, and that is a robotaxi recently blocked firefighters during an emergency, exposing the biggest flaw in AI systems. They struggle when real-world chaos replaces predictable conditions. In Dallas, a driverless Waymo vehicle blocked part of an emergency response route until a deputy had to contact remote support and move it manually. This is the real question about AI on the road. Not whether it can drive, but what happens when chaos hits the fan and no one is at the wheel. Who's responsible? Who do you call? What do you do? And I think these questions are going to come up more and more as we venture into using AI more. So, as I said, the question is not whether AI can drive. The question is what happens when chaos enters the equation. We already know that AI makes a lot of mistakes, but my problem is if it's making mistakes and that could cost someone their life, I got a serious problem with that. I hope that you would too. Number 4, guys, one person at an amusement park decided to pull out their cell phone and within seconds stopped an entire ride 200 feet in midair, proving how single decisions can instantly impact dozens of people. One rider at Six Flags triggered the emergency stop by pulling out a phone, causing the operator to push the button, leaving dozens hanging high above the park. This is how safety rules work. Someone often learns the hard way first. They're not entitled. Maybe they learned that. And it shows us how one small action can affect the lives of many other people, freezing them in an instant. I mean, I think that's just crazy. That cell phone user that got the ride stopped. I mean, I wonder what happened if something actually happened to him. So it was riders on the basically Supergirl Skyflight at Six Flags, Fiesta, Texas in San Antonio. They were left stranded 200 feet in the air The ride was abruptly halted by operators who spotted a guest, I love the way they said this, holding a cell phone, which violates park safety policies. The guests were stuck for approximately 7 to 10 minutes before maintenance lowered them safely. Theme parks take cell phone violations very seriously. When a phone is loose at high speeds or heights, it can become dangerous, a projectile that risks injuring other guests or the rider themselves. To deter this, ride operators will immediately stop the attraction if they catch someone pulling out a device, and guests are frequently escorted out of the park or banned entirely for non-compliance. Whoa, that just you cannot make this up. You cannot make this up. And it happened at another location. It actually happened somewhere else in the world. So it didn't just happen in one place. Okay. This happened other places, but this was the last time that it happened. Maria Salazar captured video after the ride was stopped and shared it with many reporters. It is scary to have to wait up in the air, she said, unable to move. Six Flags told Storyful, which was the story covering this, that the ride operators saw someone pull out their cell phone, which is a violation of park's safety policy, and immediately stopped the ride. The riders were brought down and the ride reopened. But the thing is, the fact that somebody did this, they were aboard this swing ride when it suddenly just stopped. People first laughed, but then they realized how serious it was. And, getting into the ride and having it stop in midair for 7 to 15 or 10 to 15 minutes, that was a problem, right? And it was stopped after the operator saw someone pull out their cell phone, which violates the theme park safety policy. And the ride operator did exactly what he was supposed to do. He stopped the ride. But the fact that somebody doesn't know that operating a ride can cause that kind of harm, somebody's missing a few marbles upstairs. Okay. Number 5, guys, Amazon recently unveiled a robot that does not need instructions. Yeah. It figures out tasks on its own, signaling a shift from program machines to decision-making systems. This is not just automation, folks. It supposedly is intelligence. Amazon is moving from machines that follow orders to machines that figure out priorities, routes, and also timing on their own. Now, the future is not about working harder. It's about building systems that think faster. The problem is when you have a system like this, doing this, suppose the priority lowered somebody's life as opposed to something else. So think about it for a moment. We're moving from machines that follow instructions to machines that make decisions. Amazon is investing billions into AI, robotics, and automation because the future is no longer about working harder. As I said, it's about building systems that think faster. The question is not whether AI will transform jobs. The question is how quickly will it happen? And we're seeing this happen, guys, quite quickly. Number 6, guys, the World Cup is using AI now to make real-time calls, showing how artificial intelligence is moving from analysis to instant high-stake decision authority. For the first time ever, FIFA is using the AI-powered offside technology to alert officials instantly. No delays, no debates, just fast decisions at the highest level of competition. This, ladies and gentlemen, is AI stepping into live decision-making in front of millions of people. So the fact that we're trusting AI to do this, this says quite a bit, okay? No endless debates. Now, if you're wondering, and this is a great question, so how does, this new FIFA AI offside tech work? And so there's been a lot going on about it, okay? It uses SAOT. It's a network of stadium cameras and internal ball sensors to track players. And so by continuously calculating data points, the artificial intelligence instantly alerts officials to offside situations, eliminating those annoying delays in the decision-making process. Now, the system operates using 3 core components. Let's talk about them. First is the stadium tracking cameras. Multiple, basically, dedicated cameras are mounted under the stadium roof track. The exact position of the ball and every player on the pitch. The system monitors up to 29 individual data points, including all relevant limbs and the body parts on each player of the 50 times per second. Sensor-equipped matched balls. The official match ball contains an internal inertial measurement sensor that captures granular movement data 500 times per second. This allows the technology to identify the exact millisecond a pass is kicked. This is the first time, I think, in history where we actually modified the ball or what we're playing with to have technology in it. The third part, the 3D player avatars. How does this work? So to ensure pinpoint accuracy, every participating player is digitally scanned to create highly accurate 3D models. The AI then uses these avatars to track body shapes and identify offsides, even in crowded, fast-moving situations. So how does it work? Well, the alert comes in when an attacker receives the ball in an offside position. The AI instantly pairs the ball kick data with the player's position for obvious reasons called offsides. The AI sends a direct audio alert to the assistant's referee earpiece. Verification for tighter and more subjective offside calls, the system transmits an alert to the video assistant referee, called the VAR, in the operating room. The VAR operator double checks the AI calculated kick point and virtual offside lines. The final call, the on-field referee maintains the ultimate authority to make or change the decision. Once confirmed, a photorealistic 3D animation of the offside movement is automatically generated and broadcasted on the stadium screens and television to give fans complete transparency. So the on-field referee maintains the open authority to make or change the decision. And I think that's the part that a lot of people didn't realize. We're not letting AI make the decision. We're giving a pretty definitive answer. And so AI is handling basically what we call the subjective offsides. And so they call it semi-automated offside technologies is what it's called. And it uses, ladies and gentlemen, 16 dedicated cameras. Not 1, not 2, but you heard me, 16 dedicated cameras. Yeah. That is pretty cool, guys. Again, it's called semi-automated offside technology. And so with the introduction of the video assistant referee, it became possible now to assess offside situations that previously would not have been checked in real time. So 99% of the time, the referee's probably going to say, okay, go with it, right, and make the call because it's analyzing things on the data points, and the referee can't see all that, but they can see the data. So that's where that's coming in. Number 7, guys, governments are rapidly adopting AI to replace entire workflows, not just a system anymore, redefining how public sector jobs will function in the near future. Now, according to IBM, they're saying that AI is no longer a future technology. Like, we didn't know that. For government, it is happening right now. From citizen services to cybersecurity, AI agents are built to handle tasks that once required whole teams to be deployed. The question is not whether AI will be adopted, but how much work will disappear. And I think the work is shifting. That's the best way to say this to you. It's shifting. It's happening right now. The shift is not the technology itself. It is the idea that the AI agents may soon handle tasks that once required entire departments. That's the key. As the government's race to modernize, the question is no longer whether AI will be adopted. The question is how much government work will use it. And so these are questions that a lot of people are, pondering. They're wondering what this means for them. They're wondering, we're already seeing it in major league sports. And the fact that it's in sports, I have to tell you, says something pretty important. Okay, it says something very, very important. Number 8, guys, AI's biggest hidden cost, it's not the intelligence. Nope. It is resources. As data centers may soon consume massive amounts, even more electricity and water globally, researchers are warning that by 2030, the year 2030, AI data centers could use twice as much electricity and water as they do today. Did you know, ladies and gentlemen, every prompt, image, and model runs on real power and real resources? The future of AI may be limited by how much the grid and planet can provide and sustain. So people ask me this all the time, John, how much water and electric does an AI query take? And, that's a great question. An average text-based query, it's about 0.24 to 0.34 watt hours of electricity and about 0.26 to 3.5 millimeters of water. So that's about 5 drops. However, the exact usage depends on the complexity of the AI model and how the data center is actually cooled. So something I think that you'd be pretty interested to learn about is that energy and water by the query type. So standard text prompts, as I said, like ChatGPT, Gemini, etc., 0.3 watt hours of electricity and roughly 1/15 of a teaspoon of water. For context of 0.3 watt hours is about the same energy needed to run an LED light bulb for a few seconds. Advanced heavy prompts, longer, more complex responses or requests from larger models like GPT-5, which many are using, and GPT 5.5, can upwards 19 watt hours. Image or video generation, creating AI images, code generation, video models demanding sustainability, more computing power, resulting in a significantly larger resource footprint per prompt. So you may have seen older claims stating that AI prompts use a full bottle of water. That was the high-end estimate for old models like GPT-3 and factored in the indirect water needed to generate the electricity powering the grid. The smaller estimates reflect modern, highly efficient hyperscale data centers that heavily recycle their water and use closed-loop cooling rather than standard evaporating systems. So this is interesting, right? So the question is, how much water? I mean, that's really our question. We know about the power. How much water does a query use on GPT 5.5? Does anyone want to guess? So a single AI query on advanced model like ChatGPT requires 2 to 40 milliliters of water. So let's convert. So 40 milliliters liters to US metric comes out to basically be 1.35 ounces. So it's also about 1/6 of a cup, or just about 3 tablespoons. Really, 2.7 tablespoons, or 8 teaspoons, if you want to think about it in a more quantifiable representation. 8 teaspoons, okay? So the question you may want to ask is, how many teaspoons make a cup? That's probably the way to understand it. So 1 cup equals 48 teaspoons. Does that help you? Okay. So 8 teaspoons is what it takes for one average query, 1/6 of a US cup. But 48 teaspoons is what equals a cup. I think that was pretty cool, right? So the future of AI may be limited by how much the grid and planet can provide. And I think a lot of people right now are trying to find ways, how do we push this? How do we get more out of the system? But it's causing challenges, guys. It is causing challenges. And I mean big challenges. This is a problem. And the biggest issue right now is that AI has a thirst problem. Nobody wants to talk about it. It's how powerful artificial intelligence is becoming. Far fewer people are talking about what it takes to power it. Researchers now warn, as I said, by 2030, AI-driven data centers will consume twice as much, if not more. And the future of AI could be limited by basically how much power and water our world ecosystem can provide. That's pretty interesting. Number 9, AI is becoming a major election risk. Yep. not by replacing voters, okay, but by making truth harder to identify through deepfakes and synthetic media deepfakes. Fake news sites, AI voices, and automated misinformation campaigns are getting cheaper and easier. The real danger is not that AI replaces voters. It is that people may no longer know what information they can trust and not trust. That's a big problem, because when we can suddenly get social proof out of something and now we can just get it to do whatever we want, that's a big problem. So AI could be the biggest election wildcard yet. And it is that people may no longer know what information they can trust. That's the big problem. And as AI becomes more powerful, protecting democracy may depend as much on digital literacy and verification as it does on ballots and voting machines. I was talking to somebody the other day about my vision for digital voting. I see that people eventually will be voting from their smartphones or their laptop. But the question is, how is that going to work? So I was doing some brainstorming on this, because we have to allow somebody to only vote one time. So what I'm thinking is that you will basically go to a website, either on the phone or the computer, and you will validate some information, and you will get a token that will be saved to your computer, okay, or your device. That token is saved there. That token only can be deleted once you vote, unless some other technical gets in and does something, but it will not typically be able to be deleted unless it's being done for support reasons. So what will happen is you'll register to vote. Maybe it's 2 weeks before. You'll go on, get the token, and then you can actually vote. Once you vote, the token is deleted from your phone, and it's a token is serialized so people can track it. So that's where I think we're going to go, because the question is, if we allow a device to be able to communicate and we can't track that device properly, we could have a lot of election fraud. That's my understanding of that. So I think we've got to walk lightly with that, if I do say so myself. And number 10, guys, robot dogs are going to be patrolling the World Cup, signaling that robotics is no longer experimental today. It is entering everyday public safety and real-world operations. So Hyundai and Boston Dynamics today, on June 12th, as the Cup opens, are deploying 4-legged spot robots to help security inspect parameters and suspicious items. This is not sci-fi. It is robots moving from labs into major public events with millions of people watching. And so the thing is, there's not a lot of room for error here, right? Does that mean that robot dogs will eventually be on the line of airports? I hope not, but they could be moving that way, right? I think we have to keep a human element in the loop when we're dealing with people. And although this is just them checking their purse and stuff like that, it probably could be okay, but I think it still needs to be watched under a human eye. Number 11, guys, Apple may finally transform Siri into a true AI system, raising the question of whether it is innovating, quote unquote, or catching up in a race it once led. After years of delays, iOS 27 could turn Siri into a true AI chatbot capable of understanding personal contexts, working across apps, and performing complex tasks. The real question is whether Apple is leading or racing to catch up to competitors it let get ahead. So the question everyone is asking, and it is a very, very great question, when will iOS 27 be released? So Apple has not announced an iPhone 27, but the iOS 27, basically iOS 27 is the version. And so they're looking at, they're saying, well, right now they're not really saying much. I think we're looking at September. It's scheduled for public release mid-September, likely around the Monday of September 14th. This is just rough, coinciding with the launch of the new iPhone. So the question is going to be, do you need a new iPhone for this, right? iOS 27 is going to be released in, they're saying, mid-September. You do not need a brand new iPhone to use it, as it will be compatible with the same model that supported iOS 26, down to an iPhone 11 and second-gen iPhone SE. The full experience, while older iPhones can run the core operating system, Apple's advanced AI features, such as the upgraded Siri AI and Apple Intelligence, require more powerful processing chips. To use these specific AI tools, you will need a newer model, typically the iPhone 15 Pro, iPhone 16, iPhone 17, iPhone 18, And if you don't want to wait until fall, you can test out the free public beta, which traditionally rolls out in July. I don't recommend being a guinea pig for that. I really don't recommend doing that, because there's usually issues with all kinds of things. So not a great idea to do that. But we'll have to see what happens. Number 12, guys. AI data centers are now clashing with communities and wildlife. I bet you never thought this was going to happen. Revealing that the future of tech growth may come with environmental trade-offs. A proposed data center in Nashville is facing some serious backlash after the local zoo, you heard me correctly, warned it could harm rare animals. Over 180,000 people have signed a new petition opposing it. This is the start of a bigger fight between AI infrastructure and the environment we build it in. So why are they concerned? Well, I'll tell you why they're concerned. They're concerned because, it's noisy. It can affect the animals' wildlife. So I think those are, some of the big reasons of why, why that's happening. But it's very interesting that this is going on. And like I said, it's about a bigger fight. And the question is going to be, is this going to affect data centers? And if it is, well, you're going to have lots of people lobbying. I don't think it's a great idea to try to fight against it. I know there's going to be a lot of animal activist groups, which I think is great. But this is now entering in the humane part of society, which we didn't think this was ever going to happen, but it seems like it is. AI data centers are now facing an unexpected, quote unquote, enemy, the zoos. And so with 180,000 people already signing a petition opposing the project, it's not just a fight about one data center. It's a glimpse into our growing evolution of conflict between explosive demand for AI infrastructure and the community's wildlife and the resources that may be affected within and around it. I think that's something that everybody just thinks, don't worry about it. It's just money. We'll deal with it. You can't throw money at this, guys, and solve it. You have to be aware that everyone lives in the same ecosystem, right? And respectful and accountable for all those different things. Here's one, ladies and gentlemen, I think you're going to find this very interesting. So, AI glasses. I bought a pair of these about a year or two ago. AI glasses may secretly record without warning signals, challenging long-held assumptions about privacy in public and, yes, everyday environments. The scary part of AI glasses is not the intelligence. It is, however, in fact, the tiny recording light that can be reportedly disabled on the right of the camera. Now, you could be at a gym, a store, or on a flight while being recorded without your knowledge or permission, with no obvious signal. In a world where cameras can suddenly hide in plain sight, we must rethink what privacy means. And so, with bad actors out there being able to do this anywhere from $50 to a couple $100, they're basically kind of drilling out the LED. So if you were to cover the LED on the one side, it'll tell you to remove it because it matches the light from this and the camera. And if they don't match, it tells you to uncover the sensor. Nice that Meta did that. But with people disabling the LED and still keeping the sensor in place, well, guess what? That means that these devices might become deadly and they may become a privacy nightmare. We remember talking about the lady, I think it was about 6 months ago, where she was in an environment and some crazy guy decided to videotape her, video record her. And She went up to him and asked if he's recording, and he said yes. And she said, well, I don't want to be on. He's like, okay, well, if you don't want to be on here, it'll be $5,000. It's like, what? Well, it's my camera. It's a public place, and if you don't want to be on the camera, it's gonna be $5,000. She was livid, right? And I think a lot of people right now are doing things, and just because you can doesn't mean you should. And this is not just with technology, guys. This is in so many different areas of life. But it's important that we respect this, okay? We respect it because let's flip the coin for a moment. Suppose you were the person, okay, that was getting recorded. What would you think if suddenly you're recorded? Now, you know what the glasses look like. Now, I have a pair of my regular Ray-Bans here, and they look very, very similar to this, only they have a little light over here. But you really can't tell that they are the Ray-Ban or the Meta glasses. Pretty interesting what's happening. But I have to tell you that the glasses, when they first came out, I didn't get the newest ones now, but I had the other ones. They disappointed me. Why? I felt they were a big hype. There were limits to what you could do. You could not do anything on TikTok. You had to record stuff off the camera. And I think, the fact that you could only record, I think the off camera was like 10 minutes and you could upload it. And then if you wanted to do something on, let's say, Instagram or Facebook, you could only do it for 30 minutes. Battery wasn't that great. And when you put the glasses back in the case, that's when they would recharge. Number 14, guys. AI is evolving from assistant to operator mode. Now, diagnosing problems, making decisions, and executing tasks, signaling the beginning of fully automated workflows. What am I talking about? Excellent question. One of the world's largest energy companies has now decided to use AI agents that investigate equipment failures, determine causes, create work orders, check inventory, and request parts with minimal human help. This is a company that does gasoline. AI is no longer just identifying problems anymore, guys. It is handling the entire workflows. The question, though, is with it doing this, is it making the right call? Is it making the right decision? This is not just, hey, you use the wrong piece in a design that we made. This gets much deeper because now AI could be costing people money. And one thing about AI is that when it makes a mistake, it's like, oh, you're right. You're right to be upset about that. But hey, it cost me money. So how much faith and trust are we going to put into that, right? How much faith and trust are we going to put into that? That's the question. How much faith and trust are we going to put into that? You might say, John, it's no big deal. But when it suddenly starts replacing people's jobs and starts making decisions about things that might not be correct. I mean, I think it's great that it can be a help, right? But I don't think it should ever replace a human's final decision. I said this many times before. I mean, many, many times before. But if technology is out there, it's got to be deployed for the greater good of all concerned. I think a lot of people out there that code and do stuff, they don't understand the larger picture. The thing that we need to develop code and solutions for the greater good of all concerned, not things that are just going to churn a profit, right? And so we've learned in the past, ladies and gentlemen, that workflows are definitely important, right? But if the workflow is wrong, okay, or maybe what's happening becomes wrong, then maybe we have to second think about the process. There needs to be some more human checkpoints, just like in the game at the FIFA Cup, that everybody was panicky that AI was going to make the call, and it is making the call, but the field referee can have the final last say and say yes or no. Because originally they were talking about the fact that the ref was going to have no decision. But now the ref's going to have data points. The ref's going to have proof of what's going on from the field, seeing what the player did. And when the ref sees that, the ref's going to be like, yeah, I didn't see that, but yeah, he's definitely out or he's definitely offsides. So it makes it less of a debate because when there's facts present, debate disappears. Let me see if I can make that easy for you. Maybe you're deploying an AI system to manage quality. And maybe you set up some benchmarks for the quality, right? One of the benchmarks might be the weight of the product. Another benchmark might be the color of the product. So weight, color, right? And maybe the other thing might be operability or movability of different parts. Just three things, right? Color, operability, and weight. And so if we know that one of those comes back below 100, we know there's a problem. We might say that we've got a threshold of 0.3, 0.32 or 0.2, whatever. And in that lane, that means that it is tolerable and that it still meets our quality assurance standards. We might want to be more strict and say the tolerability level is point. It's like point. It's 99999, and that's it. It can't be anything. It can't be anything lower than 99999, or it's going to fail. And we could be grading things like the color, right? Because we have something to what the color is supposed to look like, and then we can use cameras and sensors to see what color it actually is. We can look at the weight. If we know something's supposed to be 50 pounds and we weigh this and suddenly it's 51, okay, but maybe the minute it goes to 51.2, that's a problem. Maybe we put too much lead or we put too much of something in there, right? And that might affect performance. Maybe we're building a remote control robot, right? And if it has too much weight in it, that could affect its operability, right? Movability, the fact that it's able to switch gears and there's different things we can do. And if that, let's say, switch doesn't happen quick enough, then we can say that the operability failed. And if the operability failed, we definitely can't pass it and we cannot send it out. Does that make sense, everybody? I mean, I'm hoping it does. It's not something that we can just gamble on because we define things based on quantitative, right? We can define things by qualitative and we could do quantitative for Q&A. So even though color looks qualitative, it's still quantitative because we can take a color and we can get that color's code and then we can scan this and say, what color does that come up? And if we see it's too off on the color, we know that quantitatively it's off. Maybe the shade is off by 0.1 and it's okay, but it's off by 0.12. That's not okay. Maybe the weight, we can weigh, that's another quantitative. Movement operability, the fact that we can switch from one position to another within 0.1 nanoseconds. And if we can't do that, then that's a failure. So I think the thing about AI is AI doesn't know the rules. We have to tell AI, here's how you operate, okay? Here's how you operate. And that might be something that a lot of people don't understand. They don't understand why it operates this way or why it operates this way. It's a very important thing to understand that's how it works. Okay, that is how it works, and that's how you can move from one point to another point. And I think a lot of people that are on Q&A, they take this personally. Why do they take it personally? I'm going to tell you why. Because they're saying, well, gee, you're having this machine replace me. So if your standard is a certain way, right, and you know that you won't pass something, but let's say the human eye has a certain standard, but maybe that standard might get missed because of room lighting, etc. So now we're able to check that. And we could still go through and we could still override the decision, right? But chances are that sensor is going to be better than the human eye. I mean, that's just the bottom line. And I think as workflows, get introduced, the question is what's going to really happen? And how is this going to affect people working today, people working tomorrow, right? Is it going to make the job harder? Is it going to make the job different? Anytime the job gets different in any way, whether it's easier or harder, people don't like change. Did you know that? People don't like change. And the good question that everyone's going to ask me, and I know it's a great question, is this: why don't people like change? Why don't people like change? People generally hate change because it threatens their sense of control. It triggers their anxiety. Their brain has to use extra energy because they can't do the same task because they need more energy to be able to learn, which takes a little bit more brain power. Change often feels like a loss rather than a gain in the beginning, leading to a natural preference for predictable comfort. Remember, people don't like change because they want to feel comfortable. So anytime we have a change, we have a process change or any kind of change, we have a big issue, right? There's the fear of the unknown. There's loss of aversion. Psychologically, human feels the pain of losing something they intensely love doing. Outcomes are unclear. The brain gets all confused. The brain prefers automated habits because they take less mental effort than any other kind of effort. Loss of control. People adapt well when they are the ones driving the change. When someone or something else is driving the change, it's like, oh my gosh, what's going on, right? And so this is the big problem that many people have in life, that they're afraid of what the change is going to be. And so they spend so much energy burning through what the change is going to be, instead of the fact that the change may actually be something pretty darn good. It could be pretty darn good. And I think that's an important thing for a lot of people to realize. But again, when anxiety clips, right, you're not thinking about it logically or rationally. You're just responding. You're being reactive because of a situation, which happens and triggers an emotion, and that causes more challenges. Ladies and gentlemen, this episode is about one thing. The moment AI stops helping and starts acting, from anything around emergency response to real-time officiating, from even government jobs to robot security, AI is no longer just assistive anymore. Why? It's becoming operational. It's following a workflow. And it's making decisions based on an outcome of a workflow. And you see, ladies and gentlemen, that shift doesn't just change tasks. It changes entire systems, and that petrifies people. The future, ladies and gentlemen, is not arriving someday. Well, John, that's going to come tomorrow. That's going to come next week. That's going to come next year. It is already here. Already here. Did you know that? So one thing I want to, put your mind at ease for is you're not going to see physical AI robots performing physical pat-downs at airports. But the TSA is actively developing contactless virtual reality haptic feedback systems designed to simulate remote pat-downs without any human touching. Rather than relying on mechanical robots patting you down, the future of airport security points toward touchless screening and AI algorithms to reduce the need for physical inspections. But you're always going to have the ability to do what you want, right? And so you might be asking, what is a TSA virtual pat down? And, I think anytime something becomes intrusive, it becomes a problem for a lot of people, right? So a virtual pat-down is an emerging technology being developed by TSA and the Department of Homeland Security that allows security officers to feel hidden items on a passenger using contactless sensors or haptic touch simulating gloves without ever touching the traveler. So what's basically happening is the different shapes of different things, they're able to sense and feel those and determine, is that something that has presence? So they're going to use waves and stuff like that to do that. So that's kind of where they're going. As I said, the future is not arriving someday, folks. It is already here. I invite you to check out believemeachieve.com for more of my amazing, of course, inspiring creation. Ladies and gentlemen, whether you're a business owner, whether you're, working for a company, whether you're in government or any other business, like regular business that isn't government, the question is, we want to do things for the greater good of all concerned. We're talking about AI. We're talking about tech news. We're talking about innovation. We're talking about future tech. We're talking about artificial intelligence. And these words get thrown around so quickly. And a lot of people don't even know what they mean, what they're used for, and the fact that, they sound cool. So let me throw these words around for you. Let's throw these words around for you, and hopefully they'll sound interesting. But I think people have a responsibility and accountability to understand AI before they implement AI. And if they don't know what it is, then they should take a crash course. They should learn what this is. AI may not be the right solution for them, right? It might not. I told you about the new virtual pat-downs that's going to happen. They basically take gloves and they can scan the body and they can feel things without touching the body. Haptic sensors. That's where we're going. And it's just using wave technology to bounce back and forth. Interesting, right? I hope that you guys found this episode interesting and fun, and that it gave you some insights about where we're going with AI, some of the things we need to be aware of if we're going to use AI, and even how important it is to use our technology properly. No one should be entitled to just yank out a cell phone on a ride that could suddenly expose people's security and privacy and safety. Have yourself a great one, everyone, and see you soon. Be well, everyone.